Hey everyone, how's it going? Wow, it's been a while since I've been on here, but I just wanted to, or my soul actually guided me to put out something, have a little chat, over the last week or two. I've just been guided in this direction, and which is really interesting. And I always, try and go with what my soul leads me to do. And I haven't been on YouTube or my channel for a very long time because last year I was guided to not do that anymore and just to move away into different areas of of what I was sort of creating, I would say. And so, just excuse me one moment while I put my little beautiful puppy dog outside. And so, yeah, I was guided, and as I said, I always try and go with my guidance. What I was looking at, and no disrespect to people out there in the spiritual quote unquote community or anything like that. Total respect for the work that we've all been doing for years as light workers, but I just felt for me that it was that was my time to do it that way, and had ended to do it that way, and then I was moving on to different type of energetic ways of helping ascension, put it that way. So I just put more into my writing. I started script writing. I just, kind of went more into that way. And and that was being led. I was led to stop stop my coaching practice, and it just all felt like that energy had now. I was meant to do it. I'd done it, and now it was time to move on to the next type. I don't know if you want to say level or whatever. It's all labels, however you label it, but just move on in a different direction. So that's why I wasn't drawn to put any videos out, and I moved in the other direction. So that leads me to a few things I just want to discuss, because this discussion is going to be more about my personal experiences and transformation this year. Huge sort of transformation again. I mean, isn't it funny? We do years of inner work and healing, and we always think, is there more? And and then we have another transformational year. But I've got to say on that, before we move forward, one of the reasons I had the huge change and transformation is because I did actually change my perception, my focus, and my energy from that narrative that's out there all the time that you must be healing. If this hasn't showed up in your life, it means you've got more healing to do. I think everyone listening to this knows exactly what I'm talking about. We've all heard it for years and years and years out there. It's like another layer to clear, or another lot of ancestry stuff to clear, or another this or another that, and what happens is it's got to the point for me where it did not resonate anymore in listening to that narrative, and so I pulled back, and I'm like, wow, the only way you truly heal, grow, ascend, evolve, whatever word you want to use, is to fully and completely go within, not to listen to what's going on out there, not to, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't, that it's not handy to listen to a video or read an energy report, but when we get so dependent or codependent on that, on other people's writings and talkings and speakings and perspective, and because often 9 times out of 10, that person that you're listening to may still be very fragmented, and so then you're picking up on their ego fragmentation and what their perspective is of things and what they're saying, and sometimes I sort of think, we can really, like, people out there I'm saying this because this happened to me too. You can get caught up in that energy of of looping in that energy of not only feeling like you've always got something to heal, because that's, if you do feel like that, that's what you're going to project out, right? You're always going to be thinking, I'm never good enough, I've never healed, I'm never there, I'm not, I'm not there yet, like I can't have this full abundance because I haven't, fully checked off my worthiness list, or whatever it is, stuff like that. And so it's like this catch-22, right? Because you're thinking, well, if that's not true, why isn't XYZ showing up in my life? So that must be true, right? But then the reason why XYZ or situation's not showing up in your life is because you're still holding yourself in that energy loop of that energy. Remember, everything's energy. What we project out is what returns to us, what we receive. And that's the biggest thing, we need to just stop and think of that, like take a step back and go, wow, that is so true. And this year there has been like just really amazing, phenomenal things that have happened in terms of right in front of my face, where I've changed the energy, and you can see it instantly, what the change. So it all comes back to energy, as we know, and I guess one thing, my higher self spirit wanted to really mention here is that to help people to be discerning of what they're reading, what they're constantly, and not what they're reading or not what they're listening to. It's just the fact that are you codependent on that? Is that a requirement that you feel you need for your ascension and growth? Is to be perhaps getting the next psychic reading, or the next watching, I've got to read another book, or I can't move forward until I do read another book, or I've always got to heal something else, so what's the next book I'm going to read, or the next video I'm going to watch, or so and so put her video out this week because that, stuff like that. And of course, no judgment, because I was there too. Like, we all get caught up in it instead of just coming back to our true selves, and finding that beautiful, like the sweet spot is in your heart, the depth of your heart and soul. And when you go deeper into those layers, that's when you really fully more connect with yourself and your higher self and your soul spirit self. And so the information then that you can connect to, that you have disconnected from, is truly your seeking within. So when we're constantly seeking externally, we're in that energy that we have to have something externally in our outer world to help us with our inner world. But it's the opposite. So it's always about finding everything within, as we all say, but I'm not sure if people kind of always understand exactly what that means. And what I found for me is it doesn't necessarily mean listening to something else out there and then taking that information and finding within. So yes, look, as we know, there's different perspectives for everything. There's higher perspectives. And from one perspective, that is true. Like when people are starting their ascension path and et cetera, it's amazing to seek that help from out there, whether it is a soul coach or a course, or reading energy reports, what's going on in astrology, all of that sort of stuff, But at the same time, it's not, or I should say, not that it's not, but at the deeper result is that when you sorry about that. My dog was seeking attention. You're gorgeous, aren't you? Yeah, no, he was just running around wanting something, and I just had to stop the audio to see what he was trying to tell me. So I was listening. But yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that that's great, but there comes a time where we really have to, and this is what I experienced, leave all that and really go deeper within, because everything, like even your higher ability, like your ability to go higher with your sovereignty, or, and I use higher as a, I guess more inward, but to actually tap into that sovereignty more, to really tap into your power more, to not be giving your power away to others through these other ways. Like, this is all really detrimental to you becoming more of your true, authentic soul, divine light self. And so, yes, I guess that's my advice I can give on that. And that's why I pull back with a lot of stuff. And it works both ways. I mean, you can be like a bit of a teacher or helper or guide to put stuff out, like I was doing, and you think, oh well, I'm not going to really go on social media and read other stuff. I'm just going to go on, put my stuff out, and come back. But at the end of the day, you're still that's like on your to-do checklist. Okay, that was another thing moving into that I had to let go of. I still didn't realize I had this. Like, I'd wake up of a morning, and instead of feeling more free and in the present moment to just go with the flow of what my soul was guiding me for that day and that moment, I was kind of like, after my morning meditation or whatever I'd do, procedure or whatever, I would then, I'd have this to-do list still, and this checklist. And so I found that when I was even doing the work I was doing on Instagram daily, it'd be like, oh, hang on, I haven't put a post on today. I haven't done anything on stories today. I haven't, and we can get into that energy. We really can. So for me, I just wanted to share that at the start. And then there's a few really like more personal experiences and eye-opening things that I've had in 2020 this year that I really wanted to express, and my soul wants to share. So gosh, I suppose, where do I start? And in terms of, we all know 2020 has been a crazy year. I would say from January I started a bigger transformation, but it was more so April that I felt even a deeper, greater transformation for myself. And what I discovered was things like, for me, the big game changer was really going in deeply more to the awareness of being in my masculine energy a lot. So, and it opened my eyes to look back. So it's really interesting how I'm going to say this, because I kind of felt this year I've let go of my past completely. Whereas, sometimes when, if we have these situations and energy coming in and out, and we'll go back, or we'll have one foot in and one foot out, and we'll always kind of ascend more and then let go, but then something gets triggered and we go back into that energy, that sort of pattern. So I felt like I just sort of, this is actually one of the reasons I really let go of a lot of stuff, because I'm like, hang on, I just feel like I'm looping in these patterns for years. I just feel like things are coming up and there's another layer, and people would just say, oh yeah, but that's just another layer. And then I'm like, no, this is like, I feel like I'm caught in this indoctrinated collective loopy energy, I guess is the best way I could explain it. So this is why I kind of cut myself off from that energy, that collective energy, and I pulled back and I reassessed myself and everything that was connected to me and my beloved, which I call us now. I don't really, I am for the purpose of you saying this now for you to understand, but I always use the term us, not me or him. So I went deeper into where I had, where I was fragmented in that separation, and then I kind of sort of did work around that, and he helped me from this higher level with all of that, and then I realized that my masculine energy, I felt, it's kind of interesting because I sort of felt like I was balanced in both, but when certain things happened in my life, I could see myself jump into my masculine energy more. And this is where I really had the awareness and begun to understand, or just have the awareness of what was happening. For me, I am a person that I didn't realize this, but I've always have to understand something, and I always had to, you know, get to the bottom of things or whatever. And in that energy, that's an energy of trying still, it's an energy of seeking instead of just being and letting things go. So when I was able to just pull back and let go of any type of control around trying to understand or trying to fix it or trying to make a difference, or was trying, you hear my words, trying. So when I came to that awareness and I stepped out of that and went, oh boy, okay, I then was able to change that. I then was able to just really let go of that. And when I let go of not trying to control that, it then opened up the energetic doors more to show me more too, but to also change things. And so I didn't realize that I was still such a seeker or trying to control things. And I wouldn't say I didn't feel I was trying to control people per se, but outcomes and situations. And so at the same time, it might have been from the goodness of my heart, like, i.e., I've been back while COVID's been on. I've been back staying with my mum because I couldn't get back to Bali just yet. And although it's another story because I'm in the process now, it feels time with my soul to start the process of trying to get back there. So I've been with my mum, and so I naturally was just, helping her with things, and to me it just seemed like I was helping, but I didn't realize that I was actually in a way still trying to control, like, oh mum, no, maybe it's best to do it this way and not that way, and oh, do you think you should do this, and then I had to step back and go, wow, it's a form of control. I'm not letting her be free and have her perspective and have her, like what. So it was really a big learning thing for me, because we can do things from the goodness of our heart because we're trying to protect someone or trying to, but at the same time, who's to say that our way is the right way anyway? And who's to say that we everyone grows and ascends at their own pace? And so whilst I could see I was helping my mum, wasn't helping her in some areas for her to be able to step into her own sovereignty and take back that control and not give her power away to me or anybody else. So I actually had to look at that and go, oh, okay, well, actually, I'm kind of doing what others in the family do, and I need to step back and help her, in other ways, and just be free in her choices and her decisions and whatnot. So, and we can tend to do that with our parents or our kids or whatever circumstances are, because that's how we're programmed, and it's not, and again, it's not saying it's a bad thing, but it's in that energy of where we are still in that, whether it's control, codependency, like a form of control, a form of codependency, a form of like having to try and fix everything for the best possible outcome or whatever. We are still in this energy of trying, or doing, or seeking instead of just being. And when I really stepped back from all this and I could just see things change before my eyes in the physical world, it was just amazing. So for me, it was been a lot of discovery, more of how deep me being in my masculine energy went. It opened my eyes with me and my beloved to how I treated him in the early stages of the fact that, I was more in that masculine energy. So I was more in control, I suppose, or trying to control of the things that we did, where we went, what happened, conversations, all sorts of things. And it was almost like, me not sort of pushing him to the side. I didn't mean to do that, but trying to overpower, and that was that masculine energy that I was doing that through my own fears, obviously, and anxiety or whatever it was, that the underlying wounds of not, of trying to cover up showing my true self or my vulnerable self. Because when we go into our feminine, that's more a vulnerable area. For me, masculine energy, as we know, is giving, and feminine energy is receiving. So I really had sucked at receiving. I really had, because it frightened me to receive. It frightened me to open up more. It frightened me to be vulnerable. And so I'm so usually, and I was a people pleaser for years as well, and that means that we're so used to giving, so we give so much of ourselves that we forget to receive, or we're fearful to receive for whatever reason, and so we don't open up that door to receive. And so I was doing this, this type of energy, and what else? Like, just, oh gosh, there was a ton of stuff that just, I was like a ding, 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 ding. And I'd always known I defaulted more to my masculine energy, but I didn't realize that I hadn't energetically shifted it enough at the deeper level, if that makes sense. I'd shifted it in a lot of surface levels, but not so much in those deeper levels. And so that was really, really important to me. So yeah, getting back to, I suppose, the way I would do things, I was just sort of really fearful more of opening up and being vulnerable. And so he was more in his feminine, and I'd say he's more in a balanced energy, actually. Always, to me, he feels like he's been more in a balanced energy ever since we met. And because I used to sit there and look at him in awe of how does he stay so balanced. And back then I didn't even really understand the terms to say, oh, he's balanced in masculine and feminine energy. But I'm like, he seems so balanced, what we would perhaps call, quote unquote, in the spiritual world of like neutrality, like 0 point. And it was like he was at that 0 point and balanced all the time. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there was times too where he wasn't, but overall I could see he defaulted probably more to his feminine energy. But I think men that default more to their feminine energy, or can open, let's use that, the term, can open to their feminine energy and not be afraid to show their feminine energy, they tend to be more balanced in both energies. Whereas the men that are in that masculine, that real male, alpha male masculine energy, they seem to have more difficulty expressing their feminine, or opening up in their feminine, being more vulnerable, expressing their emotions or feelings, or just what they're going through. So I could see that he was more balanced, and I was just way too much in my masculine energy, and that had been a trait for my whole life. And as we know, the mirror shines up, and all these wonderful things start happening because they're shining the mirror and you're seeing yourself, and you're like going, oh, holy moly, like, is that really shit? Okay. It's kind of that. So I guess over the last couple of years, I'd been working on not being in my masculine energy as much, but this year was really pivotal moments of, like I said, being able to see deeper layers, and making that change. Forgiveness, just all sorts of stuff, and I was able to drop more into unconditional love. and release judgment more upon myself, upon him, everything really. And so that was I guess that's been the huge game changer, because when I discovered that, it's like a domino effect, it's like when I realized that, I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not even really opening to receive. So I realized I love so, so deeply, at such a deep level. And it wasn't that I wasn't feeling that love. I wasn't, how some people feel it and don't want to feel it, so they numb themselves and stuff. I wasn't doing that. It was quite the opposite. I can't numb myself. So I was feeling the love so deep, and just everything around that in terms of our soul path, divine blueprint. I could see I'm very, very highly connected to my higher self, my guidance, remembrance, I guess, if you want to say that, remembrance of what I came here for. I've had this remembrance since I was 3 years old. If you want to understand a little bit more, I do talk about this in my book, Flowing Without Wings. So I won't go into it here, but it's never been for me that I didn't I won't use the word understand, that I didn't have a remembrance. But for me, I think it's been more the fact that I did feel everything and remember everything at such a deeper level, that then I was like, the fear came into, oh my God, can I do that? Can I live up to that? Can I be this person? Can I be this spiritual divine being? Can I, it's all of that over the last few years that just, I went down that rabbit hole path of that, and it just kind of, that's what I projected. The same as like knowing all that, undoubtedly, okay, so I didn't have a doubt that I knew all that, but because I knew and remembered that, and I'm aware that not everybody does remember to that degree, and sometimes I kind of wished I didn't when I was going through it. But because I did, my doubt came in of like, well, can we do this? Because I let my ego and my doubt and my fears have that little narrative in my head of like, well, he's not here remembering either, or maybe he is remembering but he's choosing not to, and he's off, living a life with someone else. So that's where the doubt came in. And I'm keeping it real here. I'm keeping it real and authentic and honest. And I did have doubts over the last few years, which obviously energetically blocked him and I in any type of way. And I, that could have been mirrored to him as well, and he could have been doing the same thing, which was blocking us. But I'm just keeping it real. If you had said to me 2 years ago, do I doubt us? I would have said, no way. Well, I don't doubt who we are or our love or, all of that. But what I was doubting is that, are we going to get this together? And I think a lot of light workers on this path do have those doubts at times, and that blocks, that blocks the energy, and then their mind gets overactive and they drop into the past or the future. They're in their ego, the ego's running wild with, the little voices start talking to them, and and then that projects the energy and just so forth, and so on. So that for me, just having awareness of all those things and actually trusting us and believing in us meant that and open to receive. So as soon as I was able to trust and open to receive and not have any control of the outcome or expectations or concerns or worries or fear or whatever, then I was able to, that receiving door open, and then I was able to hear and listen to my beautiful, divine, beloved Moa. And so telepathically and from his higher level, I could hear him talking to me, and he was really helped. The last 5 months, I suppose, has been a huge, God, I know I keep using this word game changer, but it really has been. It's been a huge transformation for me. He has been just amazing with that, with what I've been getting the information through, and he's helped me. And even just, some days when something might just crop up or whatever, I hear, like, he says to me, Cal, drop back into your heart, drop back into your heart. Or something like that, like, are you in your heart, and stuff like that. So Cal, come back to your heart. Like, I just hear that from him all the time. And it's kind of really funny because so many things show up in the physical. Like, he'll tell me something, either telepathically or from his higher level, and then, like, it's a 2-day thing. 2 days later, it'll show up in the physical. Absolutely, always happens. 2 days later, it shows up in the physical. So it's like he prepares me, in lots of ways. And another thing with that has really helped me to stay in that beautiful, open, unconditional, loving energy of letting go and surrender and not trying to control, and remaining open to receive all the stuff I've just discussed. Another thing that helps me stay there is to, and come back to my heart and who I, like, my true authentic self, is to respect and honor my feelings and emotions. And in this particular ascension path, sort of, spiritual path, energy work out there, whatever people put out, there's always a lot of, it's sort of funny, it's like for an unconditional, loving path, everyone attaches a lot of conditions to it. And one of the things for me is that I realize is that we get caught up in what people say you should or shouldn't feel, or how you should or shouldn't feel, or hang on, if you're feeling, like, one of the biggest things is if you are feeling, what's one of them? Like, I want to say, like, too focused on, because a lot of the narratives, if you're too focused on what they're doing or listening to them or whatever, it takes you out of your energy. So again, there's different perspectives to that. There is truth to that if you're in the early stages of your growth and you're in that needy energy or codependent energy, etc., etc. But when you're through all that and out the other side, we realize that when we have those feelings, I would go to I'd block the energy from him and say, oh no, I'm not allowed to feel that. I'm not allowed to listen to him. I'm not got to stay in my own energy. I've got to do it this way. I've got to do it that way. And then it's kind of like I had this huge awakening of, like, oh, why? What, just because other people say that? Other people do it that way? And guys, you always got to remember, we are all unique beings. We're all on this path differently. Even people on the same type of path, or starseed path, light worker path, whatever you want to call it, if they're here with their beloved to do this work, and I use that term work lightly because now I just feel it's about being, not doing so much. It's like being in that light, and love, and that changes everything. I'm going to speak about that in in a jiff, but it's like we can get caught up in the, oh, hang on, I'm feeling that. Oh, I don't think we're allowed to feel that, because that's going to be a chasing energy. That means, because we're all in our head about, oh, I don't want to be chasing. Oh, I don't want to be running. Oh, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing that. And it's just like holds us in these energetic loops, because everything again is outside of us, not inside of us. So when I started to feel things come through from him again, I realized how I'd blocked his energy through this narrative crap, And so there was lots of things like that were really big discoveries for me. And it just was like one thing after another. I was able to see the awareness and just change that energy and clear that out, and like not go back into those patterns anymore and things like that. So going off social media has been a huge blessing and amazing over the last 4 months. I've loved it. I highly recommend you give it a try if you feel drawn to, because maybe if you're not drawn to, you're not ready to. But I do believe that we can get caught up in the serving others thing, and where we really need to fill our cup first. So that's another narrative out there that is just pushed on all of us and light workers and on this ascension path. We've got to serve others first, which is, I feel, an indoctrinated quote, saying, whatever, teaching. You have to serve yourself first. Fill your own cup first. And when you fill your own cup up first, with that unconditional love, with really honouring yourself more deeply, self-love, self-care, self-honour, self-respect, when you can do all that more deeply, you can then, your cup's full, and it can then overflow, and you can share that with others. And you're also, and the important thing about that is, what you are then sharing to serve others is coming from an authentic, unconditional, loving heart space, not from a fragmented ego space, because I still am in this energy, and this is what I'm dishing out to others. So when you really fill your cup up, because if you still, if your cup's not full and you're still running conditions and programs, and old patterns, if you're still in a fearful energy, whatever it is, if you've had a experience that really hurt you and you haven't been able to see the higher perspective of that yet, so you're still in an anger of it, or this person did this to me, or this person's a narcissist, or whatever. Like, I see this fragmented energy out there so much. Also the whole, it's the masculines' fault, not the feminines. Also, it's the, he needs to do this, not her. This is all, guys, this is all old fragmented programming. You are, it's not what him, you are the mirror, you're the same energy. What's showing up in one will be in the other. If you are still running that program that's been put out there so much, please change that. That I don't want to feel like I'm dictating here, but please change that programming, step out of that, because you're just going to loop in that and it's not going to get you anywhere. The divine feminine leads here in terms of, and when I say that again lightly, she leads in the terms of she is to find her own power and sovereignty, her true divine feminine power and sovereignty, and not be afraid to show that and step into that. Not be afraid to show her face out there, not be afraid to speak her truth. But that doesn't mean that she runs the whole show and takes over and drops into that masculine energy and pushes her masculine aside and blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't mean she plays the blame game either, of blaming him because he's not there, or her, or whatever the situation is. It's about that beautiful balance of the energy exchange. And again, if you'll find that your true partner, like whatever flaws you have, they'll have, whatever flaws they have, you'll have. It's that energy, So for me, it's, my higher guidance just wanted to share that with you and go deeper into that. What else did I want to say? So the social media thing, I think, is really, it's good if you feel drawn to step back on that, and then that also, because it's also really strengthened my own intuition, wisdom, guidance, connection. It's in truth through so not connecting to other channelings and form of, in the fourth, in the astrals, the fourth dimension, not connecting to other programming, not connecting to false light, not connecting to also when you really, I mean, I do feel blessed and lucky that I've always had a knowing if there's false light and if that's trying to connect to me. I've always been very connected, pure divine source creator energy, organic divine light. But I do see there's a lot that connect to the same type of energy channeling. So that's another thing, when you step back, it's not like you've read something on social media or listened to something on YouTube and then you're receiving information based on that in your subconscious. So you're kind of clearing more of your subconscious, and it's like you're getting your own guidance and your own energetic reports, I like to say, downloads, whatever, and you can listen more. So for me, I found I wasn't listening as much as I could be. I was listening to a bit and then I was going off with my to-do list and getting caught up in the external world and not coming back, and then I'd come back again, but I was kind of like doing this dance. And so that wasn't really helping me to connect more deeper with myself, stay in a more centered, present energy, I guess you could say. So that's just a little bit of advice, I guess, from my experience that I wanted to share. And I also covered a little bit of, letting go of the control and stuff like that. And also for me, I found I've just written down here like backflips into the quantum timeline fields. So what I found is Spirit showed me that we all can get caught up in this too, thinking that, we've got to, clear this timeline or get into this timeline or do this and do again. It's the do list. It's the trying. It's the seeking. When you really just come back to that present state, not even go ahead and thinking like, oh, I want to, I want this timeline. Or I want to. For me, what I did is I really connected back hugely, deeply to my soul, my spirit. I then connected into, I guess, the essence of the god and goddess that we were, one of the gods and goddesses that we were in a past life. And then from there, I was able to connect more deeply into the abundant realm. So, so I was able to do that. And then, so in one of my past lives, I was a goddess of abundance, other things as well, but abundance. And this is where I felt I wanted to work on my own worthiness because I was blocking my abundance. And when I say abundance, I don't just mean money, I mean full abundance. So full in love, honor, respect, money, being more in my power, my divine sovereign power. So I then started working with this beautiful abundant energy and drawing that down and anchoring that in to the physical realm, and not just anchoring it down through into my physical body, but down, they showed me to really anchor that. Like there was actually rose petals all around the ground below me, and it was coming down and anchoring right through Mother Earth down into the pure organic crystal grids. Not the darker indoctrinated crystal grids, the pure organic crystalline grids. And it was kind of like it had to be anchored fully into the earth, fully into Mother Earth, and not just bringing it down. So at first I was kind of bringing it down into, anchoring it and visualizing it into my physical realm, my physical reality. But I wasn't really taking it deeper and anchoring it and really anchor. So when I started doing this every day, like, holy moly, like whoa, it just really worked. And it worked in so many areas of my life. Change, instant energetic change. And guys, don't think that energy doesn't change instantly, because it does. It does. It changes instantly. So yeah, so that was amazing. What else? What else? I rediscovered my 80s girl self. I say it that way because there'd been a big part of me that, again, didn't want to open to that fun, loving, quirky, wacky, weird girl growing up, that teenager, because I was, in lots of ways, if you've read my book, or you'll understand, in lots of ways I was kind of mocked or bullied or just labeled different, because I was very spiritual as a young child and teenager. I because as I say in my book, I always felt like I knew that I knew I was here for a reason, but I knew I came from somewhere else. Okay, so I felt like I lived between two worlds, and so I just, that part of me, I think the wounds from, even though I'd healed a lot of wounds, I'd accepted a lot, I'd let go of that, I'd brought love into that, and I'd done work on not holding grudges on people from my past and all that sort of stuff. But it would then came to a point where, okay, I'm allowed to open that part of myself now and just be okay with reconnecting to that incredible, funny, fun, like I used to, I love music with such a passion, and I used to dance a lot, and I loved I was a girl that loved her 80s music and fashions, and it was my era, and I was kind of in a place where, you know how a lot of people go, ooh, don't go back. They don't want to go, they say, I don't want to go back, to my era. It was daggy, or it was this, or it was that. But that's actually really, really important as part of our growth, to really go back to that part of us that we resonate with, that we connect with, that we love, that we know ourselves. It's almost like, when we say we go back to our inner child and let our inner child out and have fun like a kid and stuff like that. We'll do the same as when you're a teenager, and when we heal those wounds from a teenager, we kind of then move on and forget that, oh, actually now we need to open up to the real beautiful parts of us from back then. And so I'll give you an example, because how can I say, my higher guidance wants me to give this example. Okay, this is beautiful. So my beautiful beloved, he's younger than me. So when I met him, it was this, I think without even knowing, like I wasn't doing it consciously, but I was doing it subconsciously. And we all know, like, so many things come from our subconscious, right? And we do it subconsciously and we don't even realize. So I wasn't consciously really doing it, or let's just say I wasn't conscious of it while I was doing it. But because he was younger, I felt like I always, like, oh God, I've got to be the older, more experienced, responsible one, right? And and for me, I've never felt like, I always, even now, I still feel like I'm in my 20s, like my mid to late 20s. I still feel like I'm in that energy. And obviously I've aged. Obviously, my my age, my number is not that. But I always feel young. I just always feel young and young at heart. But I think, obviously life, does throw us all these curveballs, and we think we've got to be and act a certain way upon our age. And a lot of people judge others and say, act your age, and all this sort of stuff, which is just a projection of their crap. But we don't know that at the time. And so we think it's like it's a bad thing, or we feel guilty, or it's not a good thing to be able to still bring that youth part of you out, right? And have fun and just just feel free, because the freedom that we all seek, and here we are again seeking, but that freedom and that heaven on earth and that peace and that harmony and that love that we seek is all from that childlike energy. It's freedom from that. Do you know what I'm saying? So we all, sorry, I just got interrupted for a minute. So we all, shut my door. We all feel that at some point. So when we met, I felt like, oh, he's going to expect me to be really responsible and really experienced in lots of different areas. And he's going to, oh, you know, he may even, I don't know, like, not look up to me, but like expect me, I suppose, to, I just felt like there was going to be expectations for me to be a certain way, right? Now, again, this is me. This is what my this is the place I went to in my subconscious. He never once said this to me. He never once showed this to me in any way. This was all me. So obviously I had more life lessons under my belt. Yeah, and there was definitely parts of, you know, of us that I could share that, you know, was you know, helped him, or wisdom or whatever. But I'm going to say, you know, from the day I met him, the first thing I thought is, oh my God, he has so much wisdom. Like, how did he get so wise, like so young? Because again, it's the programming of you've got to live many, many, many years before you can be wise, right? Again, a load of crap. But this is what is in our subconscious, and this is what we go to. So I'm like, wow, he's so wise. So at that point, I didn't really feel that, you know, I had any more wisdom than he did. But I felt that because I had to be in this place, that I couldn't show that fun, quirky side of me, put on an 80s song and say, hey, I love this song. It was one of my favorites. Do you know this song? Do you like this song? Anything like that. Because, you know, I'd be thinking, oh God, I have to act my age. I have to, you know. But then there was that other part of me that is saying, no, I don't want to act my age. I don't want to draw attention to that. That was my era, because he's younger than me and I'm older, and he might just think, oh, you're too old. So that was the fear that came in. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to think, God, how old are you? Like, you're listening to 80s music or, you know, 90s music. So mind you, not so much that. It was more 70s and 80s music, you know, because then that was his era. But moving on from that. But I just felt that, again, I just couldn't be myself that way, and that's that fear that comes up. So Spirit wanted me to my higher self wanted me to just share that with you, because that was something that I hadn't really discovered, because I used to think, yeah, some ways I was myself, and then there's other ways I felt like I was hiding myself from him. And why? And I think, you know, the age connection kind of did make me go to that place in my head of, or I can't show this, or I better do that, or whatever, you know, for whatever it pertained to, whatever the situation was around that. So that was another thing I just wanted to share. And it doesn't have to be the fact that there is any age situation. It could be anything, you know, two people the same age, it doesn't matter. But always don't worry about if you, you know, like something from a different era or a different age. And, you know, I remember, it's sort of funny because I remember when my daughter was going to school, she had a school friend that just said, it was like she was straight out of Woodstock. She just loved everything from that era. And everyone used to say, you sure you weren't like born then and then you've reincarnated now or whatever? So, and so everybody just draws to different things, and we shouldn't be afraid to show that side of us. We shouldn't be afraid. And if there's a part of us that's saying, oh God, I don't want to go back there, why don't you? Why are you afraid of going back to what really resonated with you as a child or a teenager, and really bringing that out, and remembering the beautiful joy and fun times and laughter and stuff like that. Like, what is it that makes you feel that you have to hide that, or whatever it is. And so I just wanted to share that as well. What else? Yeah, and just really the importance of being, not doing. So I think coming back into that heart space, always remembering that you are this beautiful divine soul light being in a human body. You're not who you really are. Yes, you are that person, your name in this life, you are that person, but you are actually just dropped into this body, and you are a divine soul being full of light. And from a soul level, all these things don't matter. If you just let your soul in the driver's seat and let your soul lead, and let go of that ego and fear around that, and then and just have the awareness of when you're in that heart space, when you're in that real beautiful, amazing sweet spot, and you'll feel the difference. So, and making decisions and choices from that place, not from your ego place, and letting go of that to-do list, and just coming more into being spontaneous, being in that loving spot of fun and laughter, and just doing, being wacky if you want to be wacky and weird, and not worrying about being judged about it or anything like that. So yeah, and not getting caught up in that inner work perception so deeply, like allowing yourself to feel and be okay to feel the emotion, not judging yourself for what you're feeling in your emotion or feelings or whatever, and just and always like try and have that deeper connection with divine source, your spirit, your soul, God, creator, whatever you kind of label that. Just having that deeper connection to yourself, and seeking from within that deeper connection to listen to that, listening to yourself. We're all lighthouses, and it's really about shining that light. And I think it was when my higher self was always saying, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. And I was shown that there's a lot of people out there that focus on clearing and clearing, whether it's clearing, doing shadow work, clearing dark energies, clearing people out of their life, whatever, and they're focusing on all that, but they're not actually focusing on in the present state of their divine light that they are. They're not focusing on that divine light and love. And so when we shift our focus, as I was shown, onto the light and who you are as a light being, and you work from the inside out with that light, then anything that is only on the other corner that you're trying to clear and all that, that instantly just gets removed. It instantly just gets transformed. So it's always being the light first and shining that light. And when any of that, if you're still doing, a lot of inner work, when that shadow work comes up and those emotions and feelings, allowing yourself to feel it, but don't run from it. And go, okay, I'm going to go into this, face it head on. That's how I got through my fears. Face it head on and go, what am I really fearing about this? Okay, I'm feeling this might happen. Okay, well, if that does, what's the worst possible thing out of that? Do you know what I mean? And you start to really then see that it's all just illusions and perceptions. And, I know that's for want of a better word, because people are going, everyone says it's an illusion, but it really is. It really doesn't matter. And everyone's responsible for their own self and how they react and respond and what happens with them. And you can't always, it's not about being there to fix something or do something. It's also about just being, when you can come back. So I have seen the external realities change in the last 2 and 3 weeks, with everybody that's connected to me, right? I have seen in the physical realm incredible things show up and change for the better and the higher purpose in the physical realm. Like, it's happened. I'm not saying it's not pie in the sky. It's happened. And I've seen these changes happen just as soon as I started doing more of this fully integrated, anchoring, abundant energy for myself. And then anyone that's been connected to me, huge things have changed in their reality. So what that shows you is you don't have to be out there doing it for other people. You just change yourself, like make that beautiful energetic transformation within yourself, and then that's what shines out to the world. That's what shines out, in the vibrational frequency. And we talk about, we're here as pure divine activators, high activators for New Earth. We've come back a lot of, there's several of us that have come back just for this, that we didn't need to come back to Earth, but we've come back and signed up for this. And I've known I was here for something different since I was 3. I might not have known exactly what it was until I got older, but I just always knew I came back to Earth. I'd been here a million times before, and I'd come back for a mission, if you want to call it that, or a reason or a purpose or something, which I knew was quite big this time. And when I say big, it's just really, I don't have to be out there running around in the world doing things. It's about activating that from within me, within us. Our divine love and light is what I've been shown, through both of us, through him and his higher level, through our love, through our soul, through our higher guidance. I've been shown that just being in that love and light makes the change. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of us get caught up in that energy of we've got to be out there doing to make the change, but we don't necessarily have to be. So, and then from that change, we will create beautiful things that that do go out in the external, whether it is books or videos or movies or whatever we want to do, but it's about aligning and creating from a place of where it just naturally feels right and happens, not where, oh, I've got to do this today, oh, I haven't done another video yet, oh, I better, and it's also from an integral place where we're not out there doing it to get money off people, or oh, that's our living, and because we're still in that old mentality of, oh, this is how I make my living, I must do this every day, it's that energy, and that's an old energy too. So it's just when we really hit that spot of being in that honor of ourselves and that integrity and our divine soul, honoring our divine soul and who we are, and the creative juices just flow. And then we're doing everything from the present and from a 0 point and that neutrality, and we're not feeling like we're on the grind. We're not feeling like, oh, I've got to do this. We're not feeling like I haven't done that, or and I've got to tell you, me, when I was in my masculine energy doing that, like, oh, there was no stopping me. Like I'm an Aries, and I just go, wow, I really was, I'm kind of an entrepreneurial energy, and I think that entrepreneurial energy, what comes with that is the doing. And we forget to, it's not to say we're not, as I said, going to create these things in this life, but it's how and where and how we're creating them from. And you'll find that nothing ever flows as well when you're creating it from an energy of, I have to do this, for a reason or an outcome, or for money, or just even like, I have to, like we're in that energy of, because I'm just saying a lot of light workers and energy healers and readers and all that out there, they can kind of get caught up in this. So it's about not being caught up in that so much and just coming back and making sure you're filling your cup first. And then when you do share, you're sharing from that different energy, is what I'm trying to say. So I hope that all makes sense. I don't quite know how else to explain it. So that's just, yeah, my highest guidance is saying that's exactly how to explain it. So, yeah, so on that note, I don't know if there's much else to say. Oh, I shared a little bit before for those that kind of, so know me on Instagram and they're like, she's gone off the grid, where's she's gone? Because I've had a few people reach out to my mum and, on Instagram, I know, can you believe it? Like, I'm now saying to my mum, gee, you're on that phone scrolling all the time. And they've reached out and like, oh, how's Cal? I miss her, that sort of stuff. Like more my my beautiful spiritual friends on Instagram, I guess. But what was I going to say to that? Oh yeah, so to those that might be listening, I'm still in Victoria Experience in Australia. Which is kind of getting globally known now, so I don't even know if I have to say Australia. So for those that know that I've been living in Bali, going back and forth purely just to like visa requirements and stuff, I didn't really make it back to Bali. I didn't make it back to Bali this year. I was meant to, and then the sea virus happened, and I had a choice to get out, but again, I just felt my soul was guiding me to stay. I had no idea that it was going to go on this long. I mean, in saying that, I knew that things were certainly going to be dismantling, but I am a little surprised at the state of Australia's in, and I always felt the energy of Australia was very free and freedom. Australians tend to be like, should be right, mate, just have another beer. Like, it's pretty laid back. But they're also, it's shown its true colours, I guess. It's shown its true colours and helped awaken a lot of Australians, which is great because through this whole experience, they've definitely shown, the governments have definitely shown their true colours, that there is no freedom here for people, and we are not in a country where we have the basic human rights of freedom of speech and things like that. So there's been a lot of stuff going on, and it's just been really interesting to stand back and watch what's happened. And so in our country, our state, we have state premiers. I know it's different in America. They don't call them premiers, but so each state government, we have a premier of the state. And so the whole country has locked its borders down from the other states, and that's been like that pretty much from the word go, which surprised me. So we haven't been able to freely travel within the states of the country, like say for another country like America, they have been allowed to. So we've had to stick to our state. Then there has been, so most of the states have been closed down. And then Victoria, where I am, do you want to hop out, honey? Hang on just one sec, and I'll just let him hop out. Here, darling. There you go. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so we, then the state that I ended up in, so I actually tried to get out of the state just because I was leaving. I was going up to Byron Bay to live until I could get back to Bali, and it was just really quite bizarre because we were able to get out to go to that state, which is New South Wales, and I got to the airport at like 6 a.m. for my flight, and at 12 that night when I went to bed, we were still allowed to travel, like from Melbourne, and then where I was from in Melbourne, and where I was staying. And then when I got to the airport at 6 a.m, they're like, no, the New South Wales government have changed it overnight, and now anyone from Victoria can't travel in these areas, over the border. So here I am ready to check in, and I couldn't go. I couldn't actually go up to Byron. It was just so bizarre. While I slept, they changed the rules, and it was instant. And it wasn't even like, okay, as from this date tomorrow. She just changed the rules overnight while I slept, and so there was all these people turning up at the airport trying to get on a flight, and it was just we couldn't get on. So I ended up. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So I ended up going up to the snow. I went from one extreme to another, hot to cold. So I ended up going to the snow for 2 weeks. And then I came back to where my mum lives, and because that's where I've been staying. And it just got worse and worse in Victoria of lockdowns and stuff like that. So we are experiencing, I think they're saying now, the strictest lockdown in the world. Definitely ridiculous for the case numbers and stuff like that. From a higher perspective, I know that it's shining the light on all the government. We have a very corrupt government here in Victoria. I know there's corrupt governments everywhere, but in Australia, Victoria probably has the most corrupt government, definitely does. And so he's been doing a lot of underhanded things the last 12 months. He's definitely in with those darker energies. I won't go into that because I just don't want this to be what do you call it, like on YouTube, get triggered or whatever with words. So I'm not going to put certain words in, but so his government party is involved in that, and we are, and the light had to be shone on that. And it was kind of funny because I was shown this, I don't know, back in April, and I was saying, that this is what's going to move forward with Victoria. I could see protesting. So there's lots going on. So I am currently still here in this. The energies have been really, oh gosh, it's, you can feel so much. I can feel in the collective energy here of the state so much anger, frustration, really despair, suicide. We've had quite a few suicides. It's just been, we most of us feel like our well, actually, I won't say I do feel like it, because I feel I hold myself in a different vibration and energy, so I don't let the external concern me as much. But and it's still sunshine, and I can still go down the beach for my walk every day, and I can sit on the beach and meditate. And so I feel very blessed that I am in a coastal part of the state where I can access that. I mean, some people are stuck in the city, locked down in, a very small apartment, and I understand that would be really, really challenging. But I feel that I feel blessed, and I don't enter into that other energy of the other. But at the same time, I'm feeling the collective energy of where I am in this state. And it's very challenging as a light worker, I've got to say, to be here at the moment. It's very challenging. I'm trying to hold down this more light energy, anchor it into the grids here. I was shown doing a light activation. Oh my gosh, and I've just turned on the timestamp and it was 11:11. But the way I was looking at the numbers, but I was shown a couple of weeks ago. It was just so beautiful. It was amazing. I was shown Australia, and then I was doing this work for an hour. I was shown all the major light portals, the grid points, everything, and then I was actually told to record it, which I did, and then print out a map of Australia and actually draw it all up, because Spirit said to me, you'll be drawing this all up. And I've done that. And when I connecting the dots and connected where I was shown, and where that connects to the cities, and the townships, and oh my God, it's amazing, because like as I was being guided and told about it, I would be just saying, okay, the point goes from here, just below such and such, just above such and such, just here, just there, just on this angle, this degree. And when I mapped it all out on the map and drew it all out, it's incredible. So, yeah, it really is very detailed and very incredible. And all of it comes back to Uluru, the center, the rock. All of it comes back to Uluru. So, so I feel blessed to be here in that way, but it's also the energy is very challenging being here. And my soul has just guided me now. So with Bali, you can actually get a permanent visa to stay if you own property or a business. And it was just something I hadn't gone down that road because I just felt like I was okay here. I'm like, yeah, I'm just chilling out here. That's okay. Like I work from home anyway. I just write, I hang out, whatever I do. I really am a homebody. I don't, even when we can go out, I don't go out much. Like I'm more of a homebody. So I'm like, yeah, that's okay. But so I didn't do anything about getting it, but now I've put the wheels in motion because my soul guided me to get that visa. So I am actually eligible for a permanent visa for Bali. So, but I just hadn't done anything about it. So now I'm actually put that in motion. So, yeah. So that's going to happen, and who knows? I mean, we're in a place where our numbers and cases have dropped. Our case numbers have dropped, I should say, and deaths have dropped considerably. Yet they've extended our very strict for another few weeks, our very strict restrictions, and and it is sad to watch the state that you grew up in and love so much just crumble around you. Like to be here, like I can't even explain it. Even other Australians wouldn't understand that are not here. A lot of us felt very much like we were disowned by the rest of the country. It was kind of like, oh, you're infected, you're poisonous, lock you down, blah, blah, blah. This is when it all first started. It's flu season. We are, apart from Tasmania, we're the coldest state. Most of the cases of the flu, we've had no reported cases much of flu deaths or flu. So a lot of our cases and deaths of the flu, we have a lot of flu deaths per year. But, they're right down, of course, and they're saying that the deaths are from the virus. So most of us, awaken to it, know what's going on. And we all know that Victoria have been hit because it's the flu mainly. But, of course, the government's on their rampage and that's what's happening. So I think, there's been a lot of that also Victorians feeling that they've just been left out in the cold, that they've been disowned by other states. It really is a very interesting energy, and I feel for the people that live here too that are not even awakened or in any type of higher conscious state of understanding what's going on. And I say that from love because it's really scary if they're not in that higher conscious state. Yes, we all know it's happening for them to wake up and actually, raise their vibration and their consciousness to understanding. But like anything, it's very challenging and everything. So, so I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you all. And it was just guided to. I've also had I had a family member that actually caught the virus, and that was another reason why I just feel like he caught the virus, and he was fine. It was just he was tested positive, and it was just like a bad cold. So there is a lot of that, and I think it's sad to see the complete destruction of businesses, of all small businesses, larger businesses, the economic collapse of a state that is just it didn't need to be like that. You know what I mean? It's just didn't need to be like that. And I feel for the people that are going to stay here. I would never live here again, and I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for these circumstances. But for other people that are going to stay in Victoria and live in Victoria, I really do feel for them, because it's going to be a long road back. And but you know, Spirit always has a higher reason and a higher purpose, and we come back to that place. Tap into that beautiful angelic energy and just know that it's all happening for a reason, for a higher purpose. A lot more is going to be exposed and come out, and so that's it. Okay, well, I think I've probably covered a lot now and said a lot. I'm going off to listen to some music. So in what I was saying before about my, coming back to yourself and everything. So every day I make sure that I just, because this is what I feel to do. It's not one of those to-do list things. I put on my 80s music, and that's what I work out to my 80s music. Or I just dance, like I love dancing. So I dance to it, and it's just such beautiful high vibe. And so whatever it is for you that you feel you do or connect to, that really brings you back to your heart and soul and that joy, don't be afraid to do it, and speak your truth about that and be out there about that. And if someone goes, oh God, what are you listening to this for? Or what are you wearing that for? Or what are you doing? Why do you have your hair like that? Just go, that's me, and that's my right to just be and express myself how I feel, to express myself. And if you don't like it, tough tits, if you excuse my language, but and I know there's a lot of people in the world that still struggle to do that. I was one of them. But I really do feel like there just comes that deeper transformation of freedom when you can do that. And just to be like on here talking like this is probably something I wouldn't have always done, but I'm trying to keep it real. There's probably other stuff I could mention, just go deeper, but it's just what's come through at the moment. And just keeping it real. And it's not about being up in the spiritual realms doing this. It's about the integration. It's not about how, being in the quantum fields and what you can channel and do. And that's awesome, but you also got to keep it grounded. It's about bringing that down into your reality. It's about, it's now all these timelines connecting, right? It's about not just having it all up in the clouds, and it's about bringing it down into your reality. And it doesn't mean you can't work from your light being self. That's what we are here to do, to bring that down to the reality, like I was just explaining before with the abundance stuff and everything. That's awesome. But it's also about showing up in your reality so a lot of people, is what I'm trying to say, is they'll go in and do their meditation and this is what I used to do years ago, and they'll do all that, and then they'll come out and they'll go back to, if they're around somebody or people, they'll go back to who they feel they should be around those people. Does that make sense? Instead of actually integrating it and being that. So going like walking the talk, not just talking the talk. And that is so important for us to integrate that. So, okay, I must go. Love and blessings to you all out there, and keep it real. Keep it vibrating higher, true, authentic, and sending you love and light wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon, maybe, or maybe I won't. Okay, take care. Bye.